Pre-game show on Going for2 Network. So here we are today joined by Jared. Thank you for joining us. You can find him on Twitter at the Yeti Express. And as always, we also have Jamie Perog here as well. And so this is going to be a little different. Obviously, we have a few different faces, but we also usually have more people. But nonetheless, we are going to address DFS with Jared, and then all three of us are going to address the start-sit stuff as well. Right now, there really isn't too much player news coming out. It's still all just getting released as I'm here starting the show. So far, Kamara is officially active, St. Brown officially active, Clowney and Garrett for the Browns both officially active. That's all we have as of right now. With that in mind, Jared, you got any good stuff? Oh, and Mackenzie's out as well. Yeah. But Jared, what do you got for us today?
Let's just start off at quarterbacks. Before we do that, I'm going to say Gerson definitely owes me a couple of drinks next time I see him because he's out in Vegas having fun, doing well at the blackjack tables and all that. But man, he's got me doing double duties this week. But yeah, quarterbacks, we'll start off right up the top. My favorite quarterback, and he is the highest owned quarterback, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady's coming in at about 17% ownership. I'm at almost double the field right now. I got a ton of Tom Brady. He's underpriced on DraftKings at 6,000. He's 10-0 in his career against Atlanta. Like, he just abuses Atlanta, and he, he's averaging to put up like 28 points a game against him. So yeah, he's definitely the guy you want. In terms of, like, when I say you want Brady, you got to understand, like, I'm playing 150 lineups, so I kind of like I do my stuff a little bit differently than the field. I take a guy that I really like, and I'll double or triple his ownership, and I doubled it with Brady this week. Second quarterback I have listed is Trevor Lawrence. The volume is really there for Trevor Lawrence. He's throwing the ball quite a bit. And the Jaguars have actually put up over 20 points in every single game this year, which was kind of surprising to me because they've actually been pretty damn good. And then the volume with Lawrence against the Texans defense, which is not very good, at 5,600 is a pretty good spot for me anyways. Next I have Josh Allen. Not a whole lot to say here other than that he's Josh Allen and he's a MVP candidate. And when we kind of talked about this on the Friday show, Tim mentioned it. He said, the Bills, when they get rolling, like, they don't let up on teams. Like, I think a lot of the fear with playing Josh Allen this week is that they're going to blow him out. Obviously, being a 14-point favorite in Vegas, there's always that fear. However, they really don't do that. Like, they don't do that until like the fourth quarter. Then you might see some Zach Moss carries and some other garbage stuff. But if Josh Allen's going to get there, he's going to get there. It's not going to be because, they were up by 30 and he had no necessity, because they don't really play that way.
That, Jared, that reminds me specifically of a couple years ago, Bills were playing Miami. I believe it was the championship weekend of fantasy football. But no, it was the same thing. The Bills put up a crap ton of points on Miami, and guess what? Diggs had 3 touchdowns. Allen had 5, I believe. They both went off, and then they both came out, I want to say, early fourth quarter. But, they already both contributed massively, and the Bills were up by an absurd amount compared to some teams when they would pull that guy out. So, yeah, the Bills, you should never really be concerned the same way with them pulling the guys too soon. He's a young gun. But continue, sorry.
And I think what makes it really interesting about the Bills, we kind of talk about stacks a lot on the DFS show, and just in general, with Mackenzie being out, Khalil Shakir is 3,200, and he's probably going to be the wide receiver 3, because Kumaro is out, Crowder is out, and now so is Isaiah McKenzie. Shakir has really only had 6 targets on the year. He went 2 for 2 last week, but on a pure volume stance, he's going to be getting some looks at 3,200, which makes your stack a lot cheaper instead of having to go Diggs and Davis and Allen, which is pretty expensive. You can get different with Shakir. So I think that's a big note when talking about the Bills at the quarterback.
And what about who's your Brian QB play?
So I am very, very overweight. And when I say overweight, so the Jets are coming in at about 3% ownership across the board for the most part. I'm big on Zach Wilson and the Jets this week. Xavier Howard just got ruled out, I think, on top of it with a groin injury. I think Jason said that to me as we were going live. Man, the thing is with the Jets is they have a ton of youth, and they're pretty talented youth. And I think we just kind of see a coming out party this week. Breece Hall, definitely 17 carries last week. I mean, it's no longer the Michael Carter show. I don't think it'll be that much of a split. I think you're looking more at a 70-30 type backfield there. Breece Hall is only 5,400 on DraftKings. That's a pretty nice play, and I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be on it. So the Jets were coming in at, Zach Wilson specifically, since we're still in the quarterbacks.
There we go. Yep, that's the name I wanted to hear. Sorry. I wanted to hear you say my boy's name.
Zach Wilson's coming in at 3% ownership. I think I have like 10. Like I said, the way I play my 150 lineups is I pick my 6 quarterbacks and kind of manually adjust the percentages. Like I said, so I'm twice the field on Brady. I'm 3 times the field on Zach Wilson. I think this is a really, really good spot. My only concern with the Jets is that I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater and those receivers can keep up. I really like the Jets in this game. I mean, if you're in a pick'em league, I told people to pick the Jets. If you're in Vegas like Gerson, I told them to take the money line. I'm really, really high on the Jets this week. And it's not because I watched Teddy Bridgewater, but it has a little something to do with it too. And then my last 2 quarterbacks are pretty simple. Justin Herbert going against Cleveland. Now we've known Cleveland's been banged up a little bit, and I know this is gonna make you upset, Jamie, but Justin Herbert's still. A lot of people kind of laid off Herbert because he's hurt with I think it was ribs injury or something, and he's still been slinging it though, throwing the ball 40 times a game. I mean, there's no reason to get away from it, and he's kind of priced on an island. Like you have a lot of these guys that I talked about, like Brady, Wilson, Trevor Lawrence are all under 6K. And then you have Hurts and Josh Allen, who are both at 82, 8,100. And then you have Herbert on an island at 7,100. So if you are going to play Herbert, I think that's the reason why his ownership is down. It's just because of his price point. He falls in that weird tier where there's not a whole lot of people going that way. They're either paying up or they're paying down at quarterback. So he kind of falls in that mid-range. And I really like Justin Herbert.
No, I mean, you have a wide range of QBs ready for us today. Jamie, you got thoughts on any of those guys? Any specific QB you're looking at maybe trying to plug in? Also, you're on mute right now.
All right, my bad. What was the question?
Thoughts on his QBs?
Okay. So I love Tom Brady. I'm actually playing Tom Brady this week in my podcast tournament. Paired him with Godwin. I just love that matchup right there. I'm gonna touch on Herbert a little bit later, but yeah, I do. I think Herbert's gonna eat today. Not so much Mike Williams, just because he's going against like one of the top 5 CBs in the league. But besides that, no, he's gonna get the job done, man.
No, I mean I'm scared to touch anything Chargers related this week. I want to. It seems like it should be favorable. And those are probably the ones that scare me the most with the Chargers. Whenever I really feel like I've got a sense of confidence, that's when they bite me in the ass and say, hey, guess what? We've still got Staley as our head coach, and we're going to do some.
There was a game. There was a game last year, and I'll never forget it. I think it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, where the Chargers played the Cowboys. And I was like, all right, that's my game. Load it up. I'm going to have as much as this game as humanly possible. I think it was like 13-6 final or something. So I had a bad week when that happened. So it definitely happens.
I mean, yeah, and that's just the nature of the game. But
I can see a lot of Eckler out of the backfield today, though. Eckler in the backfield, just catching passes left and right.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite one, and I guess we'll get into it more with some of these other positions, but Jamie, you're kind of leading right to it. Jared, what do you got cooking for us at running back? Is Eckler maybe on that list?
So I just listed basically my 6 running backs, or my 6 players at each position that I have the most ownership at, just to kind of let people know where I'm at. Like, I'll have other guys that I'm not listing, but you got to understand I play 150 level. So
yeah.
I put a star by each position. My star was Brady. That was the guy that I have the absolute most of. My star running back this week is actually kind of surprising to me. It's Alvin Kamara. He's been ruled in. And I said this on the Friday show. I really feel like the Saints have no identity right now. Like, they really don't know what they're doing offensively. They, are behind in a lot of games, which isn't favorable. But I think they're going to come out and kind of try to establish the run a little bit and get Kamara more involved, because really the only fantasy relevant player thus far for the Saints has been Chris Olave, which, a lot of people liked him coming out of the draft, but I don't think people thought he was going to be this good. But yeah, Kamara is actually gotten my star in the running. He's at a 6,600 price tag, which is really, really cheap for a guy named Alvin Kamara. Now, I know he's been bad, but I also think that we could see something different this week out of New Orleans, because they have looked really, really bad. And I think whatever their game plan was heading into the first 4 weeks just isn't working out. So I like Kamara quite a bit. He falls in a price range where there's a million guys that I like. You have James Robinson, who is a little bit lower at $300 less. You have Ramondre Stevenson, who is a little bit cheaper than that by $1,000. But there's a lot of guys in the $500 to $6,500 range that I like. So I think that, Kamara, I is kind of one of those guys I put my foot in the stone for this week. And he's my star listed running back. Next, I have Ramondre Stevenson. Look, the Detroit Lions offense is terrible, or defense is terrible, but they're still going to give up some points somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be to Jacoby Myers or if it's going to be to Ramondre Stevenson. I'll have a little bit of both of them, but Ramondre Stevenson is the back to have in this offense. I'm pretty confident that he is the guy you want over Damian Harris. Now, they're both good. They both share the ball, so which is not super favorable. But man, I normally hate the Patriots offense as a whole, but I also think that Detroit's defense is that bad, and I think they'll find a way to score. And we kind of saw Zappy put up a little bit of points in that game versus Green Bay last week, and a little bit of a scare for Green Bay. But I do like Stevenson there.
If I'm going to bet on someone in the New England offense this week, it'll be Stevenson or Harris even. I don't want to trust Zappy. I mean, Zappy looked great for what he was, especially in that limited play time, just coming up from the practice squad. But I think with teams knowing that he's the quarterback this week, they have more opportunity to study him and really figure out what he's vulnerable and weak at. And that's where I think it'll be run. But, Stevenson's definitely always been a talented back anyway. It's just a question of whether or not Bill will actually start using him the way he deserves.
Yeah, I actually like both of the New England running backs. If you have them on a team, you could probably start them both. But Stevenson's probably going to get those more touchdown rather than Harris. Harris might get catches out of the backfield, but you got Stevenson could end up with two touchdowns today, because who else is going to score on that team?
Right. The next 2 running backs I have are listed in the same game against each other. It's Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler. We kind of touched on this game a little bit already. Chubb's just a stud, man. I mean, if you're not playing Chubb, or at least having him in your player pool, you're doing it wrong. He's only 8,000, which almost seems like a bargain to me, because he's too cheap for the amount of volume. I believe he's leading the NFL in yards per carry. I'm almost 100% sure that he is. Chargers defense, I mean, on paper, it was expected to be a hell of a lot better than it is. They still can give it up a little bit. And it's kind of like we just talked about, like a team like the Patriots. Like, there's not Njoku's a pretty solid talent, and Cooper's a decent talent, but Cooper doesn't have the best matchup. And I still think that Cleveland's going to put some points up on the board this week, and they're going to do it with either Chubb or the last guy that I have listed here, which is more my GPP play, and it's Kareem Hunt. And when I say GPP play, it's more like a dart throw. Because he's priced at $6K, he falls in that range where there's a million running backs that are going to be rostered, and rightfully so, because they're in good spots. But everyone's going to look over Kareem Hunt. He's coming in at about 1% ownership. He's kind of been that way all year, just because of where he's priced at. But the thing with Hunt is he's still getting, 10 to 15 carries. He's getting looks in the passing game, not as much as he used to be, but I also think that that's because Cleveland's games have played relatively close, and they haven't really needed that like comeback throw, comeback dumping it down. I think Hunt's in kind of a really good spot. He's the volume is there. He's still scoring roughly 15 points, PPR points per game, and if he falls in the end zone, he's already at 20, 21. And if he does it twice, then, you're winning a tournament if he's in the 28 range. So I just think on volume alone that the fact that Hunt is still getting a lot of looks, I think he's actually a really good, like what I like to call dart throw play. And then
I was going to say one thing real quick, was the fact that with a lot of these other dart throw type backs, there's injuries and guys in the way where if they are fully healthy and returning from injury, someone like David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert's clearly taking a hit. Obviously, you'd like to think the reps are still there, but it's a much more risky dart throw in comparison to someone like Kareem Hunt, where the volume will be there consistently regardless of if the RB1 is playing or not, or if they're using him a lot. So I think that's definitely a smart and safe call this week. But you made it sound, Jared, like you had one more for us at the running back position.
Yeah, I did. My very last one is Breece Hall. I just talked about him a little bit. Talked about Zach Wilson. I'm really, really high on the Jets this week. I know Miami's run defense is actually pretty damn good. But if Breece Hall is going to get 17 carries and anywhere from 5 to 11 targets at 5,400, the volume is there. Obviously, not those two stats have come in the same game, but I really do. I really do like Breece Hall, and I like the Jets a lot this week.
I think that's a good call with Breece Hall there too. Breece Hall, Michael Carter. I think there's just going to be a lot of points in general, and even if the Jets are down by a lot, we saw Joe Flacco week 1 throw. It felt like 900 pass attempts. It might be a little over exaggeration, but it was something close to that. But with that in mind, what do you got for us at the wide receiver position?
Wide receiver, my star play of the week is Cooper Kupp. This guy's averaging 13 and a half targets a game, which is insane. And Jeff kind of joked about it on the Friday show. He said, when Stafford goes back to pass, one of three things is happening. Stafford's throwing to Kupp, Stafford's throwing to or Stafford's getting sacked. And that's kind of, I don't really see a whole lot changing in that offense. I know a lot of us really wanted to love Allen Robinson this offseason, but it just ain't happening. Next guy down, Tyreek Hill. He had a questionable tag. I'll have to check on if he's playing or not. I assume that he's going to, though. He's just kind of my run back guy for Miami and Jet stacks. Like I said, I like the Jets, so that's kind of the guy I'm running it back with. Jalen Waddle was banged up a little bit more than Tyreek Hill was. I think he was a little bit more questionable, but I'll have to look into some injury stuff that. And we know that even if Tyreek Hill gets the ball underneath from Bridgewater, like he's got the burners to just take it to the house, as that's how Tyreek Hill plays. Next.
One thing I want to emphasize real quick on the subject of Tyreek, but also Jalen Waddle. I understand they have Teddy Bridgewater, but there's no certainty in regards to their running backs right now and the production there, let alone the volume. So it's going to feel a lot worse if you bench one of Waddle or Hill for maybe another favorable option on your bench because of who's throwing them the ball right now. you're going to regret that in the long haul when, say, both of them break out or not break out, but, have a great week. Or one of them, but it's the one that you benched. Just play it safe, trust them, and even with a bad or a worse QB than Tua, they'll still probably produce for you. Continue though, Jared. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the number one cash play this week is Chris Godwin. Jamie just touched on it. I've kind of touched on it. Tampa Bay destroys Atlanta. Atlanta has one good cornerback in AJ Terrell. He should be matched up on Mike Evans most of the day. Everybody else on that team is terrible. 5,900. He's in an extremely good spot. Had 10 targets last week. A lot of people were afraid to roster him because he was hurt or coming off an injury. He looks pretty healthy. We know that Tom Brady and Chris Godwin can light up the scoreboard. And I see no reason to avoid him in cash. He is my cash staple at wide receiver. And then a couple other guys that are more, these are lower own guys. I have George Pickens last week. He came out and had over 100 yards, 8 targets. We know Kenny Pickett's getting the keys. Now he hasn't looked great in his little bit of time, but Deontay Johnson looks really bad. Pittsburgh should be down by a lot in this game. I think you're going to find Pickett to Pickens be a thing the next few years. And he was really talked about this off week on our entire network. I really do like George Pickens this week. He's cheap, 4,300. You got to find those cheap wide receivers, and he's one that I'm willing to give a look.
And we're going to cut you off there before we push on to tight ends too. But I also have a Facebook user asking. They said Lockett or Pickens on just a PPR league. But while we're on the subject of Pickens, I'm assuming that you guys are like me, where you'd take Pickens over Lockett for that.
I think I'd still lean Lockett if it's just a redraft league. I mean, I picked up Pickens in a lot of places, but I'm not starting him anywhere this week.
Okay, yeah, this was just more of a start-sit question, real quick, but yeah,
I'd probably go Lockett too over Pickens, because who knows with that rookie quarterback, and Metcalf's going to be covered by Lattimore. So who else is he going to throw to? He's going to throw to Lockett.
Yeah, I trust Pickens this week more. I don't know. The Geno scares me. That whole Seattle offense scares me. But hey, it's not like the Pittsburgh offense is any better, so there's no winning. But
I got one more wide receiver that I want to talk about quick, and then we'll move to tight ends. Chris Olave is coming in as the highest owned wide receiver this week at 22%. And a lot of people really, really like him. I'm about half of that ownership. I'm at only about 10%. And my reasoning is, like I said, I think that New Orleans is going to come out and do something different this week. Olave has looked great, but I can't play 23% of them. I'll be there at 10%, but buyer beware on Chris Olave.
No, you definitely have to be careful. But he's been consistent as of late. If there's a time to try and capitalize on it and ride the momentum, it would be right now. If obviously it regresses a bit and the Saints start to figure some stuff out, then maybe shift course. But for right now, I like Olave a lot there.
Yeah, I'm actually playing Olave in my cash game this week.
He's a very good play still. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I don't want 23% of them on 150 lineups. That's too much.
No, I agree with that. What about for the tight end position, though? I know this is where it can really get tricky, because obviously you have your couple big spender ones and then a whole bunch of hit or miss guys.
Yeah, so I only have 4 listed here. I kind of put my tight end ownership down, my player pool down a little bit at the tight end position. I have Cade Otten. He's minimum price, $2,500. He's going to be the starting tight end for Tampa Bay. He's coming in as the second highest owned tight end, though. So if you think you're being sneaky by doing it, you're not. He's just that cheap. Tom Brady also threw 3 touchdowns to him in the preseason or something crazy, or maybe it was in practice. Yeah, Tom Brady uses his tight ends. It's nothing new. I know we hadn't seen it this year with Rudolph and Braid's ruled out, so that's why he is becoming the elite value at that price tag. My favorite tight end is actually kind of switched. I talk about Dallas Goedert every single week, and just because he's super consistent, and I love him in that offense, very, very good offense. But I'm actually taking Zach Ertz at a little bit higher volume than Dallas Goedert, because the Eagles have like a funnel middle defense. Like you're not beating the sleigh on the outside for the most part. It's really, really good. They have a lot of pressure at the middle, but where they're sending that pressure is where the field is open. I expect Arizona to be down quite a bit in this game. I think we all do. The Eagles look like a Marvel superhero right now. They look really, really good. But I think the Eagles are susceptible over the middle as kind of like that soft defense where they are pretty good against the wide receiver position. So I have actually quite a bit more Ertz than I expected to. And then, like I said, I have a lot of Goddard as well, but just because he's super consistent and the Arizona Cardinals are 32nd in the NFL against tight ends. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to touch up on there.
Yeah, no, and it makes it an interesting week as well at the tight end position too, with someone like Kyle Pitts out. Obviously, he's been underperforming in regards to expectations, but at the same time, just that name not being on the market kind of adjusts who you'd even consider. But no, is that all you got for us at tight end before we dive into some defense, or you got some more for us?
Very last tight end I have is
Okay.
Gerald Everett. My dog's going nuts. Sorry, but Keenan Allen's ruled out, and Gerald Everett has been a big beneficiary of that.
Yep. Now, big beneficiary for sure. No, and also we did have a couple start-sit questions. Just want to let everyone know we will address those once we are done with the rest. First, we want to finish the DFS portion. We're almost there. Then we'll get into all the start-sit stuff. We're also still monitoring the injury news as well. There haven't been any inactives of note yet that I've seen on Twitter, but as they come out, we'll keep you updated. With that in mind, though, Jared, give us what you got for the defenses.
Defense is real simple this week, and defense is the one thing that always gives me a headache when making DFS rosters. It's real simple this week. Play the Dallas Cowboys. They're 2,500, which it seems like a misprice. They should probably be 3,500. They're super, super cheap, and that Rams line is really, really bad. I think this game will still be, relatively. I won't say scoring, but this game's going to have some points. The Rams are still going to score. But I also think the Rams are going to have about 7 or 8 sacks allowed because that offensive line is really, really bad, and Micah Parsons is really, really that good. So it's kind of weird. Like in a lot of my lineups, I have the Cowboys defense and Cooper Kupp in the same lineup, but it really doesn't worry me that much because I think that they're just going to get to the quarterback. But I also think Stafford's still going to sling it to Kupp as well. And then I have two defenses that, I wouldn't roster them with any high volume. I am, but you got to understand I have 150 lineups. So I have the Detroit Lions, and it sounds crazy to say because they have been terrible, and they're allowing, I think, north of 35 points a game or something crazy. Like it's pretty bad. But you got to understand they're playing a third-string quarterback on a team that has literally no talent anywhere besides the running back position. So I think this is one where you could just, see few sacks, a fumble, an interception. They kind of get there the hard way. But no one's going to play them because they've been so bad this year. I think that's a good dart throw, as I like to say. And then my last defense that I really even have listed is the Washington Commanders. So they've also looked really bad. They're bottom 5 in pretty much every statistical category that you can look at. But I like to target teams where I really, really don't believe in their offense. And I really, really don't like Tennessee. They have Derrick Henry, but then they have just a whole lot of nothing. Tannehill's really, really bad. I think we could see him get at the quarterback a little bit here. We're only looking for a turnover or two, but not anything that I have a ton of volume of.
Okay. No, I like it. And One last part of the DFS portion I wanted to cover for you. Do you have one lineup that you're using the most? And if so, could you kind of share like your most optimal lineup?
Yeah, so I have what I would call a cash lineup, and I use it more than others. But I say that's the base lineup that I look at, and it's basically Tom Brady, it's Ramondre Stevenson, it's Cooper Kupp, it's Godwin. I think Goddard's my tight end there with the Cowboys defense, and there's a couple other spots that I'll leave open and let you use your mind so we don't get in trouble for giving out a full lineup.
Oh, is that not allowed given the full lineups?
Well, I mean,
they want people to kind of figure it out themselves too, though.
Yeah, that's why like when I write my article, you don't see a full lineup listed just because then you could get into some collusion stuff. So.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, see, my DFS, I mean, I'm locked into all the fantasy stuff, but DFS isn't something I've even touched since 2015 when it came out, or when I got into it. But with that in mind, with the DFS, we're about to get into the start sits, but let me quickly do this ad read for us. So No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Play in pick'em style contests versus other people for the shot at winning $150K or more. Download the app, use our promo code GF2, and get a deposit match up to $25. Choose a contest, select your player props, earn points for correct picks, and climb the leaderboard for your shot to win big money every day. You can also test your skills versus the house and 20 times your entry if you hit all your picks. Bet on up to 5 player prop, over-unders, or individual player matchups across every major sports league, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, MMA, and NASCAR. Again, our promo code is GF2. Use it at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app on the App Store to get a first deposit match up to $25. Make sure to check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's not just how you play, but also where you play. So now, are you guys ready to get into some start-sit stuff real quick? Looks like we got a few. We got Doc jumping in.
Let's do it, boys.
So first off, before we jump into some of them that we had pre-planned, let's get into Daniel's over here. He's asking pick 3 full PPR: JJ, St. Brown, DK, London, Gabe Davis. Those are some beautiful options there.
They're kind of ugly at the same time too.
I got my 3.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to start St. Brown. Juju's probably the most talented on KC. They're going against Vegas, so I'm going to choose him. And then it's JJ.
Isn't that Justin Jefferson?
I think it's Justin Jefferson.
Oh, then definitely Jefferson, St. Brown, and then between London and DK for me, probably London since he'll get the volume, and then DK is going against tough matchup.
My 3 were JJ, St. Brown, and Gabe Davis. I just think that's the safe way to go about it.
Well, it sounds like we all agree to disagree, because I have JJ, St. Brown, and DK. So pretty much JJ and St. Brown. Yes,
I like that. Yeah,
we both collectively agree that those two, but then
put the 3 names in a hat and pull one.
Yeah, pretty much.
DK, London, or Gabe Davis, because I mean I'm definitely
I normally would pick Gabe, but I don't know how much he's going to be playing today because he's coming off that injury. So
I just wouldn't be picking Gabe. So
yeah.
But with that in mind, yeah, if anyone else has start sits, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Doc, thanks for jumping in as well. Doc's out here to remind you guys too, we need more likes on the stream. Let's get it going. Let's build that traffic up. And then in regards to start sits, Jamie, you had one already listed for us.
Yeah,
we'll go over that.
Yeah, it's actually it's a 2-part, but I'll go to the first part first. It is Fournette, Dameon Pierce, Sanders, and Zeke. I got to pick 2. Now, obviously, I'm not going to start Zeke. I just threw him in there just because it's a dynasty league. So I'm thinking Fournette, but I'm kind of worried if they're going to get Rashad White involved more, if they're going to be passing. But I'm going to – right now, I got Fournette and Pierce in that spot right now to start 2.
Who was the 4th option again?
Miles Sanders and Zeke.
I'm
leaning Fournette and Sanders.
Okay.
I just think Philly's going to score a lot of points. I don't know how they're going to get there. Sanders has looked a lot better this season, but he's still Miles Sanders. So
it's a scary game regardless that we're playing here with that one. I'm not big on Zeke, but
Yeah.
and Pierce scares me. I would still go Fournette and probably Sanders.
Okay.
Like, I think off of draft stock, I'm probably going to use Sanders until he hurts me, because you probably took Miles before Damian, unless it was hype train.
This was 2 years ago startup draft.
Okay.
So
it's a dynasty, I guess.
yeah.
I was just thinking if it was a redraft that was, preseason week 3, there might have been enough hype. Jared, you got any leagues for us with some start sit options you're dealing with?
I have one in particular, and I think my answer is pretty clear cut, but it would be I don't even know if this guy's active or not, but it'd be Jacoby Myers against Elijah Moore. That's my big league. I've had Keenan Allen on my bench for like 3 weeks, and it's really hurting my team. So I'm down to Elijah Moore versus Jacoby Myers. You guys have an opinion there?
I'm not trusting Zappy right now, so it's hard to start Myers.
That's pretty much where I'm at. It's going to be a constant. I'm going with the Jets.
Yeah, go with the talent. Yep.
Yeah.
There's just too much. There's too much risk on the other side for me, I guess, which just concerns me. Yeah, I mean, I've been high on Jacoby all year, or going into the year, I should say, but as of right now, with the QB situation, with how that offense has looked, if I'm not starting a running back for New England, I probably don't want to be starting them at all, for the weapons in that offense. I do have one for you guys as well, though. I've got Mr. Travis Etienne and David Montgomery. I have to choose between one of them for, I don't remember if it was a flex or a running back slot, but essentially trying to decide which underwhelming RB do I want to put in my lineup out of 2 disappointments so far this year.
I mean, with
Etienne or Montgomery.
I mean, Etienne this week, I mean, he can get 2 catches and break it off for a touchdown. That's like 10 points right there. It's just that upside, but he also has the downside of getting 5 points.
Yeah.
Montgomery, I don't know how much they're going to play him with. Plus, Herbert looks a lot better than he does. I hate Montgomery, so I'm going Etienne.
Oh, so I'm pretty much avoiding this Vikings game almost completely. And we know Montgomery's going to play, but he's not 100%. And we know that Khalil Herbert has also looked really, really good in his opportunities that he's had pretty much since the beginning of his career. Maybe not last week. He wasn't as boom potential as we might have thought. I would actually lean Etienne, and Etienne's a guy that I have on a lot of my teams, and he's just chilling on my bench because I don't have a reason to start him. But
I get it. I went with Etienne here. This is kind of my preferred route. It seemed like the best one. Makes me nervous. I'm not confident, but I usually try and always bet on the healthier option. I don't want to do he's 80% and then he gets hit kind of hard 2 times and suddenly now he's down to 40% and he might not return that game.
It pains me. It pains me to say it, but the Vikings defense really isn't that good, and they can be had a little bit, but the Bears offense is really that bad.
I mean, I was gonna say I don't think you need to worry too much though. Justin Fields hasn't really shown much at all this year that makes you feel like he's going to go scorched earth on you guys. Mm-hmm. And in regards to Jamie, was your second start sit? Was that
it involves so if you guys are starting Fournette and Sanders, I'm going to involve Pierce. I'm leaving Zeke out, so I got to start 2 out of all these. It's Dameon Pierce, Olave, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. Obviously, I'm leaving DJ Moore out. I'm not starting DJ Moore. I like Curtis Samuel's matchup. I mean, you can't sit Kirk. It's hard to sit Kirk and Olave with the air yards he's getting, being the number one on the team right now. I just don't know.
I would do Christian Kirk, I think, is the must there.
Yeah.
Because just based off his volume. And then if I'm picking another one there, and this is PPR, correct?
Yeah, full PPR.
Okay. Full PPR. I'm probably going to go. It's between Olave and Pierce for me. I'm probably going to go Pierce there. Damian Pierce and Christian Kirk.
I would go with Kirk and Olave, and I'm a little lower on Olave than a lot of people, but I still think that Houston. I mean, Pierce has looked good, but can they keep up in this game? That's my concern.
Yeah. And I get it. I guess my expectations are rather low in regards to what that game looks like, where I think it'll be fairly competitive. Courtney, thank you for joining us.
Now that Courtney's here, she'll tell you how much she likes Olave.
Yeah, damn Skippy.
No,
I put $20 on him at the beginning of the year for rookie receiving yards of the year.
That's looking pretty damn good.
Those futures, okay. I don't know about the futures. They take too long for me. No, so Courtney, do you have any thoughts on this actually real quick? Jamie's trying to decide, he's got to pick two here. It's Damian Pierce, Chris Olave, Christian Kirk, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore. It's full PPR.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a dynasty league, so
yeah.
That's just a lot to pick from. I think that I know I just joined in, but I would go Olave. I actually even have him going over 63 yards. That's the prop that I got. And so, I mean, I know a lot of people don't trust Dalton, Andy Dalton, but I mean, I think it's a good matchup. And I think that, with Michael Thomas being out, Chris Olave is going to get all those targets again. And I mean, Callaway will be in there some. But yeah, he's going to there. I mean, they might play a couple trick plays in there with Taysom Hill, but who else was going to help if Andy Dalton gets hurt, right? So I think Olave is a safe play there. And I agree with you that the Texans might be, oh, hey, Jamie, your wife or somebody just walked out. Hi. I know that Damian Pierce, might have a lot of catch up to do because they're playing against Jaguars, but I like Damian Pierce there. I really do. I think he's shown us that he can be the bell cow there, and I like him. So that's who I would play.
All right, but I had a number one part was Fournette, Pierce, or Sanders. So you would go Fournette and Pierce over Sanders?
Yeah.
And then pick two, which would be Olave and Kirk?
Yeah, that's the consensus everybody's saying, right? I mean, Kirk's going to have a good game there. Is Zay Jones active?
He was the first one I forgot to look. I know Russell Gage and Jacoby Myers are both active. Those are two players that I needed to know on.
Oh, I'm looking at my fantasy lineups. I've got a few just underwhelming start sits, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on a parlay. Actually, if you wanted to hear about what I've been cooking up. Because I don't do the DFS stuff, but I do like to find me some nice, safe parlays that, take the easy and safe odds, adjust the spreads. And then I end up, adding the Bills into all of them. And every time, all the legs hit except for the Bills. So I've learned just not to bet on the Bills. But the one I wanted to kind of talk about with you guys more specifically was I have it at a few different odds, but so as a four leg parlay, it's plus 459, but the Texans plus 10.5 against the Jags. All right. I've got the Falcons plus 14.5 versus Tampa Bay, Detroit plus 6.5 versus New England. And then Washington plus 4.5 against Tennessee. And that gives me plus 459 odds. So they're all very safe. You know, the Texans, do I think they beat the Jags? No. Do I think they lose by double digits? Probably not, but if they lose by 10 or less, I hit. Same thing goes for the Falcons. Like, the Bucks haven't really looked that good. Bucks are going to win that game, but I don't think the Bucks beat them by 15 or more. So that's where sneaking it in there. And then the same thing goes for the Lions. I mean, at plus 6.5, I think the Lions outright should win, or they might win, and just under a touchdown. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Does that seem like a good parlay? Like those legs there?
Yeah, I like all of them.
The only
Especially getting 10 points to start with on that first one.
Jared, what were you going to say?
The only thing that concerns me is Atlanta.
Plus 14.5, though? You think
I know it's a lot of points. I don't know. I just feel like Tampa's going to boat race them. But I don't know. I'm not as good with teas and stuff. So
oh, see,
I like to just look at the original number personally. But I know a lot of people found an edge doing that. Yeah,
I've been doing great at them, and every week, because I do the layers, every week I do so damn good, and then I just my one
for sure
I almost won $900 off a $1 parlay last week, but then the Bills. They were the only one that couldn't cover the alternate.
You know what? I do want to talk about this real quick. I don't know if you guys are in survivor leagues. I know a lot of people love doing it. Pick one team to win every single week. In the few, so I'm not in any of them, but I know a lot of people really like to do them, and they're a lot of fun. You get big prize pools. But I think there's like 85% of teams have already been eliminated across the board in those survivor leagues. So it's kind of crazy to think about, that because usually you're making it into week 12 or 14 before you even see half the field drop, because a lot of these NFL games are pretty obvious. And I think the Broncos burnt a lot of people week 1, but they were like the chalk team, like kind of like you said with Bills, like the chalk team to win. Just hasn't really been panning out this year in the NFL. So keep a mind on that. Now, do I think the Bills are going to lose today? Absolutely not. I think they're going to destroy Pittsburgh. But just be careful with those big favorites, because a lot of people are going down in these survivor leagues by looking at that.
Well, I think in one of the survivor leagues my husband's in today, like half of it is going to the Packers, and they're losing right now.
Yep.
I know they're driving.
Right now.
I mean, I see they're driving. But I mean, yeah, the Giants might actually win this one. That'd be pretty sweet. Sorry if y'all are Packer fans.
I think it would be great.
I know it would be great.
This guy right here is a Packer fan.
Oh my God! Hi, buddy. You're adorable. Well, yeah. I mean, they're driving right now, but I still think that the Giants could turn around. They tie this, maybe win it. Who knows? So that'd be fun. Back to the Atlanta question. I think that it's going to be closer than we think it is. I think that Tom Brady I know that he plays in big games, but I think that he's going to underestimate the Falcons today. And they're going to win. The Bucks will win, but I think it's going to be a close game. So I think that's actually a really good parlay, Zach.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. And the Falcons, they've been close in a lot of against good teams. And that's where, I was like 14.5. I was like, well, I'll take that. Like, I'm not asking for them to actually be winning. I just need them to not get blown out. And then also on that note, I did a fifth leg added to it to make it plus 864, which I threw in the Saints as well. I got their alternate spread at minus 3.5. So they have to just win by more than a field goal. And then I'm plus 864. So, I mean, it depends on how many legs you want to add. It gets riskier and riskier, but I every week try and have a couple of those where I just do the alternate spreads.
The Saints are one of my most hated teams in the NFL, but I do think they win today.
Yeah. Hey, it's fine. At least, he hates both of our teams then.
Yeah, the only cool one here is Jamie. He's been miserable for forever with his Cleveland Browns, just much like me with my Vikings.
I was going to say, yeah, you guys are a lot alike, man.
I'm pretty sure we had one decent year past 25 years. So.
Combined between the two teams? Is that what you're talking about?
No, back when the Browns made the playoffs, I think like 07 or something like that.
Sounds like what I feel like Jared has probably just still heard about Bountygate, which I mean,
You bet.
as a Brett Favre fan who cheered him on in the purple as well, I'm still upset about Bountygate too. So
I'm really more mad at Brad Childress for sending 12 men in the huddle. Shout out Brad Childress. Because we were already in field goal range, and then Favre throws one across his body, and then the rest is history. I mean,
here goes the Survivor Leagues, by the way. Packers did they just go for it on 4th?
I'm behind, so I don't know if it's. I'm watching it on my phone, so I don't know. But
I have the play by. I'm watching soccer, so
it is 4th and 1 according to this. So I think the Giants are about to win.
Yep. Go Pack.
Well, Jared, if it helps, I put money on Dalvin Cook's over yardage today.
Yeah, I think that's a good look. I was kind of mentioning earlier that I didn't really like the Vikings for the most part, but the only player that I'm really playing with any volume is Dalvin Cook because, I mean, I just don't think the Bears can keep up with us.
No.
And that's
been very disappointing.
And that's kind of why I don't have much Justin Jefferson this week in my fantasy and my DFS lines is because I just don't think the Bears are good enough to keep up with us, you know.
Giants just won.
And then I think Jefferson. I'm sorry, Jefferson's going up against Jalen Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see him getting not that much volume because he's a top 5 cornerback going into this week at least.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out with some of these teams. I mean, right now, Jamie, I noticed you had a start sit option for the Scott Fish Bowl.
Yes. All right. So with Montgomery back, I could start either. See, I had Khalil Herbert in there, and originally I drafted ETN to be the starter, but we all know how that's going.
Horrific.
So my options are Herbert, ETN, Jacoby Myers, which we had talked about earlier, scares the hell out of us. Or I could put Riley Patterson, the kicker from the Jags, because we all know how those kicker scores go. And I think Patterson's actually projected the highest out of all 4 of them guys.
Wait, repeat them again. Repeat your options again.
Herbert, ETN, Myers, Riley Patterson, kicker for the Jags.
Unless I have to start Herbert or Montgomery, I'm not touching that one. So I would nix Herbert out.
Okay.
I would go Riley.
That's what I was thinking, man. And people throw like, why are you starting a kicker over?
I start almost 2 kickers every week in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Okay.
Just because
this is my second kicker because I have Carlson too.
Must be nice. I'm in the sleeper version, so I don't get that luxury.
I'd rather be in the sleeper version.
Yeah, me too.
I love using sleeper. I just wish I could change my lineups.
Andy Dalton's starting today, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You want to know how ugly my Scott Fish Bowl team is.
Oh,
I mean, I'm in
do we want to compare suffering teams?
I'm in the top 500 still, I think, or maybe it's top 600. But I have lost Elijah Mitchell for the year. I've lost Javonte Williams for the year. Kyle Pitts is out. I've lost Mac Jones.
Man.
Hey, we have a lot in common, but I'll one up you there because I am not I'm closer to the bottom 500 than the top 500. You ready for this dream team? I've got, Mac Jones as well, who's out and hurt. Elijah Mitchell. Michael Thomas, who's now out. I also had Dak Prescott, who's out. Wan'Dale Robinson, who's out. Kyle Pitts, who's out. Greg Dulcich, who's on the IR. I had to cut 2 other guys that were hurt so I could start an active lineup. And I'm 2-6.
Wow.
I'm
8-0 still. There's only 80 of us, and I'm pretty sure Josh is one of the other guys on the Going for 2 that are undefeated. But I'm trying to go for 10-0 this week.
Jamie, I know you saw me complaining about my running back situation last week, and you're like, "Oh, I'll rent you one." I started feeling because
you did
how desperate I was. I had. He got me 8.
What did he get you? 8? Yeah, I was gonna say like 8 to 10.
Oh, it was ugly. Yeah, 7.4, but I'll take it, man. I'm literally looking for any running back that's going to touch the ball at any point in the game at this point, because I went to go pick up Mike Boone, and I got outbid on him somehow, and I'm like, Jesus.
So I actually had an extra roster spot, so I was like, I'm going to be funny. I went and picked up Adrian Peterson just to be funny. Like, I got one of the best running backs on the team.
That's funny.
Oh, the good old Packers.
I can't believe they just lost. That's amazing.
I'm not surprised. I was hoping this would be their wake-up call because they've just played. They look very complacent. I think they have a lot of talent, but they haven't really had that fire, that edge that you expect the good teams to have. When it's a close game and then late they put their foot down, like really push down on the pedal and say, hey, we're not even going to let you think there's a chance to come back. And that's, I don't know, this year's been really interesting with the NFL season. There's been a lot of teams that haven't necessarily showed the dominance or the reign that we would expect coming into the year.
But before we take off, do we have any more start sits? Because my girl just texted me one.
No, let's do that one, and then we'll wrap her up.
It's Deontay Johnson or Devontae Smith, and she threw in Palmer, but obviously we're not starting Palmer over those guys. So DJ Johnson or Smith?
It's pretty easy for me at Smith.
That's what I said, Smith. All right, cool. She just wanted to make sure.
Well, we just don't know what to do with Pickett yet, right?
Yeah. And Deontay Johnson's just looked bad, man. He was a player that I was kind of high on in best ball. I don't know if you guys play best ball at all.
Best ball. I got like 30, 40 leagues.
Yeah. Those are a lot of fun. Those are a lot of fun because you don't even have to pay attention. Really.
Especially an underdog. They're only like $3.
Yeah. But he was a player that I was really high on in best ball because I'm like, someone's going to have to catch the ball. They're going to be down by 15 points every week. And for the first couple of weeks, it was Freiermuth. Now it's Pickens. It's just been everybody but Deontay Johnson, unfortunately.
Well, and I think it's going to be a great game between the Eagles and the Cardinals. So I think they're going to. I think Jalen Hurts is going to spread that ball out a lot. I think it's going to be a fun game.
No, I'm excited for. Or go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm excited for a lot of the games we've got going today. Should be a lot of competitive ones. I mean, and right now there's just so much parity in the NFL. Right now it seems as if a lot of teams that you expected to be good aren't really living up to it. A lot of other teams that, are a little better than we thought, but a lot of teams, right in the middle, 500 or slightly over, slightly under, but a lot of teams that are still very much alive. And I know we're only in week 5.
The Browns are at 500 leading the division.
That's crazy. We were talking about the Ravens, and to me, I swear that the Ravens were one of the. And I looked at the standings, and I'm like, they're 2-2, and then Searfoss was like, they've trailed 11 seconds the whole year or something like that. I'm like, what? I'm like, I feel like every time I'm looking at them, they're losing, but I expect them to be a lot better. That's going to be a great game. I think that's Sunday night tonight, Cincy and Baltimore. Yeah, I think that's going to be a barn burner as well, kind of like we mentioned with the Eagles and Cardinals game. All I know is at some point today I'm breaking out the Fireman Ed chant, and I'm going to be doing the JETS Jets because I got a bunch of them.
I actually think the Dolphins could still pull that one off. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's not a bad quarterback. I mean, I still think that he's not a starter. That's why he's not starting, anywhere, and he's backup. But I still think that the Dolphins could pull it off. I like the Dolphins this year. They've looked fun.
Dolphins are a good team, and they play at a good pace too. And I love that game for fantasy ramifications. I really do.
Hill's in and Waddle's in. So
I think we just see a youth movement by the Jets. And I mentioned this kind of at the top of the show. I really think you're going to see a lot of these rookies, along with second-year Zach Wilson, really ball out today. And Xavier and Howard has also been ruled out. I'm pretty sure I read. So I mean, it's wide open. It's wide open. It's
time. He's bringing it today.
Jared, are you already drinking this morning? Because if so, I'm really proud of you.
Not yet. Games will be starting soon. There will be some captain in here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I lied. I got to coach football at 3:00. I won't be drinking until after that.
Oh, nice. What age? What age do you coach?
My son's a first grade flag football. It's kind of fun.
Nice, nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
I don't like that it's at 3:00 every Sunday for the last 6 Sundays, but
yeah,
it's still fun. It's like right between the late games.
Here we'll wrap it up, and then we'll continue this conversation in our back lobby. But no, thank you everyone for joining us today. Jared, if you want to tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Yeti Express. You can find me on the pretty much every group that we have on Facebook. I'm in Jamie's group. I'm in the DraftKings group that Jeff runs. I'm in the DFS Roundtable that Tim, Jason, and Gerson run. I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm not hard to find. If you want to get a hold of me, you want to ask me something, slide in my DM. No, I also I'm a co-host on the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast for basketball season that's right around the corner. I know it's a very specific thing to one team, but I am a giant Timberwolves fan, and I have a lot of fun doing that.
Need a guest ever, let me know.
I love
more about the Timberwolves than you would possibly imagine, actually.
That's awesome.
Liking the team. Jamie, where can everyone find you at?
I'm on Twitter, Jamie Perog. I'm also on Facebook. Just look my name up. You'll see the Browns logo. Join my Facebook group, Fantasy Football Discussion. We got like 67,000 members active all the time. And then right here at GoingFor2, you can find me on the chats and every single one of our streams. And I'm also starting with the Rum Boys. You can find me there Friday nights, sometimes on Sundays during the day. Well, that's pretty much it.
And then Courtney,
that's awesome,
what about
Jamie.
yourself?
Thank you.
I love the Rum Boys, man. They're fun.
Oh,
They're
Robbie's
fun.
my boy, man. Me and Robbie get along.
A lot. Robbie's one of the first people who kind of took me under his wing and showed me some stuff a couple years ago. He's an awesome guy. He's a really awesome guy.
He's showing me the ropes too.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. So I'm Courtney. I'm at Love Tractor 3 on Twitter and here at GoingFor2. So I try to get as much as I can. Life is hella busy, but I try. So Zach, thank you for having me on this morning and letting me join in for at least 20 minutes. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for jumping in. We're glad to have you. And for
Absolutely.
myself, you can find me on Twitter at the Big Pellowski. You can find me every Tuesday with the Fantasy Cheat Sheet on the Going for 2 network. Here every Sunday morning. And I'm sure I'll be bouncing around to plenty of other places now that, my schedule's opened up a lot more. And I'm ready to start pumping out content now that I've got some more freedom. But no, thanks everyone for joining us. You guys have a good day. I would say go Packers, but they've already lost. So go everyone else.
Go Browns.